Hello everyone. So I'm here with the detailed explanation of Act 1 Scene 2 Macbeth. In this scene we are introduced with King Duncan and other important characters of the play. In this scene King Duncan is uh, he executes the Thane of Cawdor and elevates Macbeth to that position by hearing about his bravery, which he displayed on the battlefield. And who gave that news? Sergeant gave that news about the detailed account of the battlefield. So, okay, let's go ahead and read this scene. King Duncan's camp near Forres. Forres is that place where they have set up their camp, so it's there. Alarm within enter King Duncan, Malcolm, Donald, Bane, Lennox with attendants meeting a bleeding captain. Captain, it's in your book, it's sergeant. So Malcolm and Donald Bane were sons of King Duncan. So they all enter. Duncan is saying, "What bloody man is that he can report as seemed by his plight of the revolt the new estate." So he's saying, Duncan is saying that who is this bloody man who has entered? A bleeding captain has entered the scene, and this Duncan is saying that who is this bloody man, that this bleeding man, heavily bleeding man, he can report as seemed by the plight of the revolt the new estate. He's saying that he can very well, through his, by looking at him we can see that he is badly wounded, is coming directly from the field, and he can give us the latest and the best news from the battlefield. Or so Malcolm is saying, "This is the sergeant who, like a good and hardy soldier, fought against my captivity. Hail, brave friend." So Malcolm is saying that father, king, he's the sergeant. Sergeant was high ranked official in the army of Duncan. So he's saying that he is that brave captain or the sergeant who fought like a tough soldier and even saved me from getting captivated by the enemy. All right, so hail brave friend. So Malcolm is referring sergeant as a brave friend. "Say to the king the knowledge of the broil as thou didst leave it." So he's saying that you better tell the king all the detailed account of the battle till the moment you left that battlefield. Captain, doubtful it stood as two spent swimmers that do cling together and choke their art. So he's saying, this captain is saying that doubtful it stood means the outcome of the battle was doubtful. It was not certain who is going to win. As two spent swimmers that to cling together and choke their art. That is, the two armies were fighting each other as two spent swimmers who are totally exhausted and choke, that do cling together and choke their art. That is, they like the spent swimmers, no, that swimmers who are trying to win. So they stick to each other. They try to catch hold of one another so that like they can stop their what do you call that, opponent, and they can win the race. So this is like that. "The merciless MacDonald, worthy to be a rebel, for to that the multiplying villainess of nature do swarm upon him from the Western Isles." So he's saying that, this merciless MacDonald, what to tell about him, that he is a rebel, he's a traitor, and like he has all the villainous, whatever you can count in nature, it is all in him. And what is he comparing? Is all these evil attributes in him. He's saying that they are like the evil attributes of MacDonald are like swarm of flies, which the the all the flies which collect on him, which will swarm upon him, and from the western coast. Okay, of corns and gallows glasses is supplied, and fortune on his damned quarrel smiling showed like a rebel's sword. So here he's saying that, of corns. Corns are the lightly supplied or the light weaponed soldiers. So Kern is the light weapon soldiers. They can have these bows and arrows and swords, right? So, and this gallo classes, they are heavily armed. So These soldiers were in his army. Whose army? McDonald's army, and he was having a huge army of who were light weaponed and heavily armed. So, as if the fortune was smiling on him, giving him a special advantage in a way that he was having a big army. And how was the fortune behaving? Like his enemies wore, enemies prostitute, you can say. Okay, but all's too weak for brave Macbeth. So he's saying that it was all there with the rebel, with the enemy, but it was nothing before Macbeth. He was quite brave. He's referring Macbeth as brave. Well, he deserved that name, disdaining fortune with his brandished steel. So disdaining means he was kind of मजाक उड़ा रहा था वो इन सब इस पूरी आर्मी का, इतना जो equipped आर्मी थी उसका वो मजाक उड़ा रहा था एक तरह से. With his brandished steel, तलवार घुमाता हुआ वो घूम रहा था और इन सब का वो मजाक उड़ा रहा था. Which smoked with bloody execution. Why with bloody execution? This sword was finishing off the army of this enemy. Okay, like Valor's minion carved out his passage till he faced the slave. So he was behaving like a Valor's minion. That is as if minion is kind of slave, servant, or a child. So he was behaving like a child of courage, or slave of courage, or like that. So like who's having some special care or special blessing from courage. Okay, carved out his passage till he faced the slave. Carved out, like he sliced his way through that battlefield and he reached the enemy. Who? MacDonald. And what he did, which never shook hands nor bade farewell to him. That is, they were not friends. They were in animosity with each other, MacDonald and Macbeth. So till he what he did, till he unseamed him from the nape to the chaps and fixed his head upon our battlements. So what this Macbeth did was that he sliced his way through the battlefield, and when he met this MacDonald, he chapped his way. He tore apart his body. From whose body? MacDonald's body, from navel to this chap. Chap is the jaw, and he even sliced his head and hung upon the walls of that fort. Understood? So as a trophy. So it is, if you've seen that movie Padmavat, that he used to slice the head, that Khilji character used to slice the head and bring it as a trophy. So similarly, it was like in Macbeth also, that he was quite brave, and he did bloodshed to this much extent that a sense of horror prevailed in the enemy. All right. Duncan, oh valiant cousin, worthy gentleman. Now, so Duncan is calling him valiant cousin. Valiant means who displays a lot of courage. So cousin, Duncan's mother and Macbeth's mother were sisters. So they were cousin. Worthy gentleman. He's praising a lot. He's praising Macbeth a lot, though he's not there, but still he's praising. Captain. That is sergeant. I think sergeant is there in your book, but it's one and the same thing. As when the sun gains its reflection, shipwrecking storms and direful thunders, so from that spring whence comfort seemed to come. So that is when the sun rises, what happens? Shipwrecking, storms and direful thunders. So that is, there's lot of storms, hard storms, strong storms. Shipwrecking means which can, destabilize the ship. Quite strong means. And direful thunders, scary thunders. So from that spring whence comfort seemed to come. So it is that when you seem to become comfortable, this kind of warning, or this kind of what do you call that? This kind of scary environment comes. Discomfort swells. That is when you start feeling comfortable, discomfort swells. It comes up. It erupts. So Mark, King of Scotland, Mark means listen, King of Scotland. That is, he's trying to say that don't focus anywhere. Just listen to me very carefully what I'm saying. Don't distract your attention elsewhere. Just listen to me. No sooner justice had with valor armed compelled these skipping kerns to trust their heels. So he's saying that, very soon Macbeth made these kerns to trust their heels, to run away. To trust their heels means to run away from the battlefield. But the Norwegian lord, surveying vantage with furbished arms and new supplies of men, began a fresh assault. Now, as soon as Macbeth made this the MacDonald army to skip, to run away from the battlefield, at the same time, this Norwegian lord, he took advantage because he was seeing that the army is already tired. Now they can be easily won. They can be easily, captured, or they can easily be defeated. So Norwegian lord, he came and attacked. He was supplied with better army, with better and more modernized weapons, and he began a fresh assault. He started attacking the this Macbeth's army. Duncan, dismayed not this our captains Macbeth and Banquo. So Duncan is saying that hope our captain, the Banquo and Macbeth, were not disturbed by this or were not troubled by this. Captain, yes, as sparrows, eagles, or the hare, the lion. So he is kind of over exaggerating, and he's kind of comparing that yes, they were scared, or they were they were disturbed as sparrows disturb the eagles, or eagles are disturbed by sparrows, and lion by the hare. So it is not in actually it doesn't happen that the rabbit is not able to scare the lion or disturb the lion, and even the sparrows cannot scare away the eagle. So it's just an over exaggeration and a simile also, that yes, they were disturbed like this, like these examples. If I say sooth means true, I must report they were as cannons overcharged with double cracks. So he's saying that if I tell you the truth, they were like double charged cannon. Double charged cannon means the bombshells which are with double the gunpowder, and they were like that, right? So they doubly redouble strokes upon the foe. So they were, since they were overcharged, they were double the charge, and they have like they were disastrous for the enemy, except they meant to bathe in reeking wounds or memorize another Golgotha. So he was saying that yes, they were quite frightening for the enemy. Because they meant to bathe in reeking wound. That is, they wanted to, as it was appearing, they were as if they were trying to, or they were wanting to bathe in the split wounds, the blood coming out of the wounds of the enemy. They wanted to bathe in it, and as if they were trying to memorize, to to remember that Golgotha, or they were trying to repeat that. What is Golgotha? According to the New Testament, it is that the place where Lord Jesus Christ was crucified. So this is Golgotha, right? So it's trying, the battle was so bloody that it appears that they were wanting to bathe in the wounds of the enemy. I cannot tell, but I'm faint, my gashes cry for help. So he's saying that I cannot tell more. I'm exhausted, and but I'm faint, my gashes cry for help. That is, he's saying that I'm about to faint, because he was also, he was wounded badly, he was all bleeding. So, and his gashes means wounds, they were crying for help. They need some medical aid quickly so that he can get better. All right. So see, this is a picture. This is the picture, and you can say that this is Macbeth and Banquo. After they have won the battle, they must be celebrating like that, because they are both smiling. So I cannot say that this is what do you call that, MacDonald or the Norwegian king. They are smiling. So that you can say that they are Banquo and Macbeth celebrating after the victory. Okay, Duncan. So well thy words become thee as thy wound, they smack of honor both. Go get him surgeons. So Duncan is saying, yes, your words are well expressed. They told the clear picture. They have drawn the clear picture of the battlefield, and your wounds are also, they are also telling the story of the battlefield. So yeah, he says that they smack of honor, both, like both are honorable, because since you have, your wound is telling sorry, your wounds are telling that you fought bravely for the country. So obviously the wounds and your words both are honored. So he's saying that go get him sergeant, that is, he's asking somebody to take care of that sergeant who came. Exit captain attended. Now enter Ross and Angus. Comes here Malcolm, the worthy thane of Ross. Lennox, what a haste looks through his eyes. So should he look that seems to speak things strange. So he says that you look at his eyes, it seems that his eyes, or he has something incredible or very important to speak. Let's hear what he has to say. Ross, God save the king. Whence come thou worthy thane? So he's saying, where are you coming from? From Five, great king. So he's telling that where is he coming from? He's coming from Five, where the Norwegian banners flout the sky. He's saying that, I'm coming from a place, from our island, where Norwegian banners were flying, or flouting means they were kind of doing something wrong. They have entered our territory and they were flying. And fan our people cold, because they were, kind of giving uh, a bad vibe to our people. Norway himself, with terrible numbers, assisted by that most disloyal traitor, the Thane of Corda, began a dismal conflict. So he's saying that, this king of Norway, he started a fight with our enemy, and he was assisted by whom? By Thane of Corda, who has turned out to be a traitor. All right. Till that Bellona's bridegroom, lapped in proof, confronted him with self-comparison. So he's saying till, what happened? They were checked by Macbeth, and is referred to as Bellona's bridegroom. Why? Because Bellona is supposed to be, according to the Roman mythology, the goddess of warriors. So Macbeth is being referred to as her bridegroom. Lapped in proof, confronted him with self-comparison. That is, he checked him with self-comparison. That is, let us have a one-to-one fight and let's see who's stronger. Point against point, rebellious arm against arm, curbing his lavish spirit, and to conclude, the victory fell on us. So he's saying that 1-to-1 there was a battle, and point against point, rebellious arm against arm. That is, they had a good fight, 1-to-1, and curbing his lavish spirit, controlling over him, defeating him completely, and to conclude, the victory fell on us. That finally we were victorious. Duncan, great happiness that now Sveno, the Norway's king, craves composition, nor would we detain him with burial of his men. So he's saying that now, Ross is saying that, this Norwegian king is asking for compensation. He's kind of, he wants to have a peace treaty with us. Till he disbursed, he's saying that we are denying him the burial of his men, the dead bodies. We are not giving them permission to bury their men till he disbursed at St. Columcille. That is, till he inches the England, so the island. So he says till he hands over that land to us, $10,000 to our general use. So he's saying that even, and what, the monetary fine of $10,000 also he has to pay. Then only we can allow him to have that burial of his men. Okay, Duncan, no more that Thane of Corda shall deceive our bosom interest. Go pronounce his present death, and with his former title greet Macbeth. So he's saying that now Thane of Corda just is giving a sentence, death sentence. He's pronouncing a death sentence for Thane of Corda. He's saying that you better go and tell that, you pronounce the sentence of execution. He is saying, though, go pronounce his death, and with his former title greet Macbeth, and he's elevating Macbeth to the title of Thane of Corda. Ross, I'll see it done. So Ross is saying, yes, whatever your command is, I'll make it sure that it's done. Duncan, what he hath lost, noble Macbeth hath won. Now this is a quite an important line. Duncan is saying what he had lost, noble Macbeth had won. Why? Because Thane of Cawdor is a superior title than Thane of Glamis. So now Macbeth has it. And Thane of Cawdor was a traitor, which Macbeth in future will be. So it is the exchange of not even the title but also the personalities. How the Thane of Cawdor, he became a traitor to Duncan. Now it was Macbeth who was the present Thane of Cawdor, and now he's going to betray Duncan by killing him. So this is it. So Exeunt. So this is all for Act 1, Scene 2. We'll meet in the next scene. Till then, have a great day. Take care.